There's a couple words when you're doing an M&A transaction that you never like to hear. I mean, you work 3, 6, 9 months a year trying to get a deal done, and all of a sudden you hear these two words. Hi, everybody. I'm kdee, President of Osage Advisors. Welcome back to our podcast, The Ins and Outs of Selling a Business, and this week's big hurdle. So what are those two words? Pens down. You know, there's reasons to put your pen down, right? I mean, it means that we're putting things on hold until we resolve certain open issues related to the transaction. And the majority of these issues are what I would call business issues. There's legal documents that kind of encompass all these business issues into a purchase agreement. But when you put pens down, it typically means that lawyers on both sides stop working right now. The buyer and the seller and us as a representative need to work certain things out so we can move this forward. We've hit an impasse. And if you're a willing seller and a willing buyer, you'll figure a solution. You don't want the lawyers battling about back and forth about an issue that really needs to be handled by the buyer and us as representative you as the client selling your company. Because the lawyers will go back and forth, but if you have the business people, you can find a solution, right? That's what you do every day. You're always negotiating with your vendors, with your employees, with your customers. Everything's always in negotiation. So as part of the deal, we need to negotiate a solution that works for everybody. Now, there are situations where it's outside of your control, right? Geopolitical. So, pens down. We had COVID, right? Everybody put the pen down. We had no idea what's going to happen. The tariff situation, a lot of companies put their pens down. The current war we're in right now, environment now. Some people have stepped back and put their pens down until they figure out what happens, because a lot of what the business does is tied to implications that we're having right now, i.e. oil prices going up and down and higher. We don't know where they're going to settle in. So as an advisor to you, we will most likely recommend, hey, let's just put everything down for now. We don't want to negotiate in a position of weakness, because that means that we're going to add additional structure. The buyer, hey, let's get the deal done. We'll put an earn-out component on this, or a contingent note or something, right? Before this event happened. So our recommendation is, no, we're not going to do that, right? Whether we need to, it's a game of patience. If we have to hold things and then go back to market in 6 months, we will. And when things settle out, we have more certainty what the ramifications, if any, of this geopolitical event. But where things likely break down with the deal is the nitty-gritty details at the end. I call it the last 72 hours before you're closing, right? Is the crossing the T's and dotting the I's regarding the indemnifications, certain aspects of the employment agreement, the reps that the seller has to make, a certain buyer demands that appear unreasonable to you as a seller. And it's our job as your advisor at Osage is to walk through those concerns and get to an answer that works for you. Right? I mean, the lawyers could be battling on an issue that really has no relevance to your business. We had a client years ago where I asked him after 35 years in business, hey, John, how many times have you been sued on this issue? And he thought about it and said, never. I said, okay. So what does that tell you? He says, I get it. Okay, I get it. So that was a give in our eyes to get moving again. A lot is also mechanical items like the working capital peg, right? Delivered, how much working capital you're delivering at closing. I'm not going to get into the nuances right now, but typically it's an agreed upon number. The buyer may come up with one number. Our accounting firm, CPA firm, internal CFO may come up with another number. We review it, and there's a gap. We want a $2 million peg. They want a $3 million peg, or vice versa, right? So, which means that if we don't deliver $3 million, that they get a purchase price adjustment down $1 million, right? So that's not acceptable to us. So we have to find a solution. That's not a legal battle. That's a business decision. That's a business discussion. That's a business compromise. And there are ways of doing it. Right? We can say, look, we'll agree on a peg of X. If it's within 10% either way, there's no adjustment. So there's some flexibility by both parties. I mean, there's a lot of ways to work through these issues. As a seller of a business, you haven't been through this before. 99% of our clients, this is the first time selling. So it's kind of like, don't overreact. Let's huddle internally as a group, including your lawyer, because he or she, is going to be the one drafting the information. And let's come up, and then we'll deliver it on your behalf. Right? After we all approve it, you approve it, say, okay, we'll go back to the buyer, and then we'll have that conversation with the business people, right? Whether it's the CEO of the business, whether it's their CFO or whoever who's running the deal, we'll go back to them and we'll find a medium, a solution that works for all. Lawyers, as I said it a million times on this podcast, a good M&A lawyer is worth every nickel. But they have a specific purpose. It's protect your interest. When certain things will pop up into transaction, it's best, and most good M&A lawyers, and I've heard it many times recently with the deals we recently closed, is, hey guys, this is really a business decision. Why don't you, we'll put our pens down. Why don't you get with the buyer internal? Let's come up with a solution that works for us. And then go to the buyer representative on the business side and say, hey, come up with a solution. And then have them tell their lawyers, hey, we agreed on this. Make the changes to the purchase agreement so we can move forward. I mean, it's an ongoing, I don't want to battle, it's ongoing conversation, a negotiation. When we get down to that, as I said, last 72 hours with these last few points of any deal. And most of those points are not legal, right? They're business decisions that we have to agree to. So lean on your M&A advisor, like us, Osage. That's what we're trained for. That's what we're here for. We're here to listen to you, understand what's important to you, and find a solution that works to you. And if you have a buyer on the other side who has that same mindset, we'll find a solution. It may delay things a little bit, but at the end of the day, you get the deal that you signed up for that works for you. And you can sign the contract and move on to the next steps, feeling good about things, which is the most important thing, is that when you sign that deal, this is the right deal for me, the right deal for my family, and I feel good about it. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, The Ins and Outs of Selling a Business, this week's Big Hurdle. If you enjoyed this episode, please click below for another episode that covers similar topics. And we appreciate you being with us today, and have a great day.